Welcome! Today we're going to be drawing Sonic from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So I'm going to take you through just some quick tips on how I would go about drawing him, and hopefully this will help everyone out. Feel free to follow along. Okay, so first off, you always want to keep a light hand on your pencil. So as much as possible, go lightly. This is especially difficult for me. I've always been kind of heavy-handed. So I struggled with this as a child. What I'm going to do is open up some reference that I found for Sonic. Let's go get I think this is the one that we're gonna want to look at reproducing. So we're just gonna do Sonic. That's what we're interested in today. So first thing we want to do is keep it loose. So keep your eraser close. I'm doing this digitally. Okay, so when you're doing something like Sonic, what you want to do is break down the character so they have a feel of how he looks, how he comes together. So when I look at Sonic, I can see clearly, and this is pretty much straight across the board from the movie to the old cartoons, is he's got a very, very circular head. And his body is pretty oval. So we're going to be able to just start basic with a circle for his head. So for the circle, we're going to keep it really loose, and we're going to go lightly and start drawing a circle. Okay, so when I do my circle, I'm going to go lightly till I get something that I like. What you want to do is use your shoulder. So the difference being circles with your wrist and circles with your shoulder. So you'll notice as you practice, and it might feel weird at first, but the more you do it, the more you flow from your shoulder through to your elbow. So I'm not moving my wrist at all. The pendulum's going from the elbow. The circle is going to generally be smoother than this. So when you're doing your wrist, one, it's not good for your wrist, but two, is you'll get a smooth circle around a certain angle, but then there's the full circle that can't get as smooth as going from your shoulder. So Sonic has a very circular head. Like we said, his body is pretty oval, so we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to keep it more oval for his body. And you can see here, when we look at his head, it's pretty much the same size as his body. So from here to here, and here to here, we're looking at about the same thing. So I'm keeping it loose. At this point, it doesn't matter. He's got his chest puffed out, so he's bigger at the top. So I can come in here at the top and just widen it out a bit. I'm not going to go quite as big as the size of his head because his shoulders. So we're going to just widen it out a bit here. And I'm going light because I'm using this as structure lines. Okay. So you're doing this on paper, do it as lightly as possible. If you're doing it digital, and follow along. But if you're doing it on paper, do it as lightly as possible. And then afterwards, once you set in your darker lines or your marker lines, you'll notice that all these light lines, they don't disrupt the drawing. They'll kind of disappear in the background. So the shoulders will be somewhere in the corner of that oval that you made. You can just circle them in lightly to show where they're going to be. Okay. Now, in this particular case, Sonic, we're not seeing his neck because he's kind of looking down a little bit. It's puffed up, so I probably should have drew this closer. So if I want to erase it, I can do that. Redo my circle, but in this particular case, just to save a little bit of time, I'm just going to move it up. So let's move this up here. Okay. And we're going to do his shoulders a little bit up. So, okay. So again, tie in like this. And it goes down to a smaller, right? Okay. So use your eraser, you know, get rid of some of those little lines that you don't like. It doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't matter. So in this particular case, Sonic's legs are pretty straight down. His legs are just tubes. So if we want, you know, the size of his legs are going to be a little bit longer than his body and then his head. So if you're looking at his body, for example, it's going to be like 1.5. So 1.5 his head, right? So if we're doing this, it's going to come down to about here. Okay. Now this doesn't have to be perfect, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line to represent where his leg is going to be, and he's going to have his knee come there, and it folds out a little bit, and we've got his foot, right? Okay. So again, I'm looking at his foot. We're thinking feet. We're thinking blocky. We're thinking triangular as well. So feet have a tendency of being very triangular like this, and in this case, Sonic gets the same thing. You know. We'll have the heel come out a little bit. So on the other side, if we follow through, he's kind of stepped back a little bit. So his foot maybe comes down like this, right? Okay. One foot's not really in front of the other, but it is turned a little bit. So again, so it's coming out a little bit more on this particular side. And again, this is kind of like a triangle, right? I'm cutting off the top. Cutting off the top. Okay, and then the back of the heel is going to be there. Back of the heel is going to be kind of there. This one's turned a little bit more, and it'll come out. We'll fix that after, right? Okay, so his arms. A good trick for this sometimes is you want to lay out the hands where you think they're going to go, and then lay out the arms after. So his hands are very blocky, and they're down around here where they join his waist. Okay, so we're going to have his hands there, and they're going to go back. And then to his shoulder. So here's his elbow, and we're just joining. So at the elbow, it goes in a little bit, right? It's going to go in, and then out. Okay. So we'll clean these up as we go, right? No big deal. And then the other one, we're seeing it at about the same height. Again, I'm just, we're seeing blocks for the hands. And in this particular case, we've got the thumb on this side. And his shoulder is more behind on this side, right? So his elbow, sorry, it's going to reach here and then go back, continue through. Okay. So at this point, these are just roughed out. If you want, you can start filling in some lines for the leg, so thicker at the top as we reach, and you're going to curve it a little bit and come back down to the other side. Come down like this, puffed out, right? I'm going to draw through the hand. this, and it comes in here, and the legs out. Legs out. Okay. Here, same thing. Comes out like that. He's got wider at the bottom. Okay. So far so good. So now we can start to lay out where his face is going to be. And with Sonic, it's pretty much half and half. So in this particular case, he's looking down just slightly, but his face is right down the center. And normally we will go right around the halfway mark here. Okay, but in this particular case, he's looking down a little bit, so we're going to go closer to the third. And notice I do it a little bit on an arch. And the reason you do it on an arch is because our faces aren't flat, right? They're round. So here, we're technically on the side of the drawing, we're going around the face. Okay, what you want to do is use this line that we just set here as your guide, and it's fairly simple. So what you're going to do is the nose is going to go right below it, and in this particular case is face on, so we can just draw a circle. And for the eyes, you want to just draw big circles here. So we're going to draw big circles that are going to take up most of his head, lightly again. Okay, and we can do them evenly on both sides. Okay. Now with Sonic, we're just going to join those circles and use this dividing line as our cheekbones. Okay, so this circle that is going to join down here, and it's going to come back down to the center here. Now this redesign, what they did is they put his eyebrows built into it like this, right? So it still comes down, but he's got those eyebrows. Okay, and then the bottom, you're just gonna join like that, and you're gonna round it out, right? So we're gonna join here, and we're gonna round it out. The nose, the smirk. Okay, so can put a little detail, right? Still keeping it loose at this point. Not really so worried about anything. The eyes are going to go somewhere here, so these are just ovals. Put them in lightly. Okay. So if you follow the eyes, just like this, imagine this. And up here, near the top of the head, you're gonna have the ears come out, right? So draw the outside, join the top, draw the inside, like that. So I'm keeping this really loose, and like you guys should do the same. Okay. So with Sonic, afterwards, this is gonna go, the cheekbone, we're gonna have it rise a little bit here. And it's gonna come back down. There's a little bit here. Okay. And of course this keeps going up, but he's got the hair on the side, right? So as it goes up, it kind of turns out just a little bit. So on the top of his head, we're not going to see this, but we're going to add a bump, because Sonic has the hair, right? From the side. So it's got a bump. Comes up this side here. And we're going to go this side here. Same thing. Okay, notice I'm keeping everything really, really loose. We're going to do the kind of the same thing on the other side. And this one, we don't see the full side of it. And it comes down here. So when you keep things loose, you can come back in and erase. Lightly erase and then draw over top. Okay, so we've got a shoulder. We're going to bring it up here. And then on the other side, we're not seeing his shoulder. At the bottom, right? And it's going to be its puffed out chest. And it comes in. Like that. Okay. So let's get the shoes in there. So the shoes here, I'm going to throw in the socks. And again, I'm just putting in big rectangles to determine where the socks are going to go. On this side, they arch over, right? Same thing over here. They're going to arch over the shoe. As we go, we can add more and more detail to this. So the shoe is going to go like this a little bit, right? It's going to arch. And then we have his strap on this design, okay? His shoes up because it's a running shoe. We got that sole. Here, same thing. It's going to go up, back, back, okay, up. And here, strap curves around the shoe, right? Okay. So if you want to start lightening this up just a little bit, take your eraser and we're going to lightly erase. Okay, so I want to throw his knee a little bit higher here, so it's going to come here, and these are things we can fix because we kept it loose. So here, thicker, and then I want to have it come up a little bit higher there. Like that. Okay. So yeah, so here it's going to come through, and we're going to come through here. Okay. So I'm going to throw this onto the eraser light. Pop it up. Normally I would just add a layer, but oops. Just so to do it kind of like what you're doing, take your eraser, go as lightly as possible. Okay. Okay, so then you can go in and you can erase parts that you really, some parts that really don't need to be there, or you can just leave them. But if they're distracting, then erase them. So, for example, this is this shoulder part here. This is getting distracting a little bit. And here, I might erase a little bit more. So here, I'm gonna erase the inside of this line a little bit. It's getting thick. Same thing over here. Okay, so we're gonna come in and we're gonna put in some cleaner lines. So that shoulder, which goes out to the elbow, right? We're gonna clean it up. Same thing here. And where I'm noticing it should be thicker, I'm just making it a little bit thicker, okay? So that we've got his puffed out back, and then it comes in. Bottom of his head. Puffed out chest. And then it's gonna come in. Okay. Goes up to his knee. Got some hair here. And then back out. Sonic's got some calves to him, so we're gonna throw that in there. There we go. Like this. And we're thickening up the calves a little bit here. Thickening it up on that side too. Drawing through. And that's where you can erase a little bit as well, but we're drawing through. And we're joining. Okay, so when you draw through an object, that's to keep your lines going. So you're not starting. Here's his fist, right? You're not starting that body here and then, oops, it's kind of off. It should go through, right? So here and here, and this is the line that we're going to erase afterwards. Okay, so here it's going through. Oops. And okay, his hands. So in this particular case, they come out like this. We drew boxes for them, but we can start to stencil them out. Okay, because the knuckles are going to go here. So rather than being a box, now we're cutting the box in a little bit, cutting it in this way, cutting it in this way. And then do the top here, and you can cut in this way. Okay, so I'm going to lightly erase here a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. So again, you're going to cut in where his finger is going to be. So on this side where his thumb was, we're going to pull it out and cut back in. Okay. This is going to join. And then we're going to do that big rectangle here for his gloves. Okay, and we can add a line. And we've got a good start. Okay, so lightly put this a little bit. Lighten that up. Pull his elbow out a little bit. Erase. Chest. Arm comes out. It's gonna come. Now, like this isn't exactly the same as the poster that we're seeing, but that's not important, right? Because what's important is that we visually understand that it's Sonic. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. We want to do our own interpretation of it anyway. So again, the rectangle is here for the top of the gloves. Okay, the thumb, we had already put a box and stenciled it in, so we're just going to pull it up a little bit. Okay, so So we're just defining that, following that box. And then the glove continues down in this particular case like this. It goes a little bit further, so I'm extending it a little bit further. And then cutting in my box here for the hands, the knuckles, the inside, right? So we've got knuckles up here. And then we're gonna have knuckles here. So I can just put a line to represent that. And then this comes in a little bit because the fingers are folding in. Okay, erase a little bit, erase, gets rid of some lines, lightly. Okay, we've got his thumb that we already did, and his palm. That's going to be there, okay? And then a box for the top of the gloves. Put a couple lines to represent that. Erase the arm underneath, because that was our guide, right? To where it's going to go. Okay, so these are like the start. Don't worry if it doesn't look exactly the way you want it to. It's going to get there. Okay, so this particular hand is going to be more difficult than this hand, I would say, but it's all going to kind of work together the same. Anyway, okay, so here, if you want, basically you're going to just add a little line like this, and then we're going to add another little line like this, and this is kind of where the fingers are going to join, right? Okay, so don't overthink this. I'm going to put in some lines. I'm going to follow. So this new Sonic, he has actually 5 fingers, which is kind of odd, right? But and generally Knuckles, when you're going to do them, they're going to follow a curve. So you notice I put my line here, but I'm going a little bit lower. And that's just because they're going to follow that curve. So this particular one's going to be here. And then this one's going to be more in. Again, we're erasing because they're overlapping. And then this one, overlap that one. And then that finally the one is going to be the biggest, okay? So there we go. This, whoops, no, not my eraser I want, the thumb. Okay. So if I was doing this on paper, I'm gonna lighten this up again, and then I'm gonna go fix up certain areas again. Okay, so now we do the feet. So we've got this in here, right? Comes over. That's fine. So if we want to start adding a little bit more detail, what we can do is here, the foot, the socks, the shoe, whatever it actually is, it comes in and comes out. It's got some style to it. So round it off near the bottom of your rectangle, right? It's going to go over. It's going to come in. And then back out. So curve in, curve out. Follow through around the body of your foot. Okay, and then the inside. Okay, so if I do this lightly like this, out, in, out. This one goes over. Okay, So I'm going to use my eraser again. I'm going to erase the inside here very lightly. Erase that. This one here I'm going to lighten up. This one here I'm going to lighten up. Okay, so the line that we're following is this one. Boing, boing, boing. Curve out, curve in, curve out. Okay. Reaches the shoe, curves all the way up and then back down. The shoe has an arch. The strap, curve up and back down. I'm going down further on the inside here because we're seeing this side of the shoe a little bit. I'm going to draw through here because he's got a little strap down the center. Draw through, and then it ends here. So on this side it's red, on this side it's yellow, and then I can lightly erase the center ledger through to know where I was, right? Okay, so we've got the joining of the shoe, draw through the strap, go down the bottom, and then the shoe curves just a little bit out here. Okay, and so we're going to come back in. Got to be, let me erase this a little bit, got to be a little bit over here. Because we're seeing more of this side of the shoe, right? And then like this. I'm going to hint at the sole a little bit there, and then we're going to have the bottom of the sole here. Okay, so I'm going to curve a little bit here because that's where the bottom of the sole is going to reach. So if I erase this just slightly, see, bottom here. And then the back of the shoe, it's going to come down. It's going to curve a little bit to the sole. And then curve in. Okay. So same kind of deal on the other side. I'm going to curve. It's going to go around. Curve underneath here. Okay. So on the inside here where I followed through, I can lightly erase there, put the leg underneath. So, whoops, so it goes like this, right? Joins on the other side. It's going to curve like that, come in, and back out here. Curve over, and then starts to curve around near the back like that. Okay. So I got a whole bunch of lines in here, so I'm going to lightly erase all of them again. Okay. And then add in the center a little bit to show where that's going. Like that. So again, same thing here for the strap. We're going to see more of the strap on this side. It's closer near the top here because it's further away. Wrapped around the shoe. Thicker here where we're going to see more of it, and then disappearing. Okay. Again, we're going to go down follow the center of the shoe here, draw through 2 lines, join them, which is going to be that yellow and red part. Erase the center here, and you've got your lines. Okay. So my center here needs to just be pulled out ever so slightly. So I'm going to pull it out, erase a little bit the side. Okay, top of the shoe. Similar to what we did on the other side. I'm getting dark a little bit, so I'm gonna have to lightly erase here. Okay, don't worry. Okay. So the back of the shoe, same deal. Comes out where the sock is, goes straight down. You're gonna have it just budge out a little bit. Now I have no idea what the back of the shoes, the Sonic shoes look like. Doesn't matter. We're just gonna draw in some whatever. Okay. So far so good. Can't complain. So let's add on a little bit more detail. We've got that nose, right? I'm gonna pull his mouth down a little bit more. I'm gonna cut his eyes more here. Okay, to resemble what we're going for, which is him grinning with an evil smile. And we're gonna cut the eyes on the other side. Okay, so we still got the pupils here, same deal, nothing's changed there. And we still got joins in the middle, and still continues down to the nose. And here, we're going to curve. We're following those circle shapes that we made, right? Curve out. Curve out. Follow in. So I notice that I want to have his face turned down a little bit more. So this whole section, I find it's a little too high. It looks fine like this. So if you like the way yours looks, leave it the way it is. But I'm gonna switch to my eraser, and I'm just gonna lighten that up a little bit. Right? And we're going to come back in here and we're going to do it a little bit lower. So rather than having my line here for my eyes, which I had put center, I'm going to lower it a little bit. So now my eyes are going to be somewhere there. My nose is going to be here. Okay, so he's going to be interestingly enough, I can leave his smile smirk pretty close to the same. And we're going to do what we did before. So the circle is going to come down into his nose, right? Wrap around here, wrap around there. Wraps in here. Okay. And then we're going to go back and make him angry, right? So we're going to cut a little bit in here, like this, like we did last time. Erase, erase, erase. Oops, here we go. Okay. So we're going to erase some of these lines. Oops. Okay. So same thing here. I'm not changing this. His eyes are going to wrap around. And then they're going to circle in to here, right? They're going to wrap around and circle into here. Okay, you can lighten up your circle a little bit that you used as a guideline if you want. With your eraser. Here on the inside. And then up here is where we're gonna add his cheeks. Here on this side. So we're just doing like a semicircle and wrapping it back in. And I'm actually going to cut it off a little bit. So if you're going to cut it a little bit here, so just erase lightly on the side of his face. And we're going to come in and just make it a little sharper. Here. So I'm going to erase a little bit of his face. And I'm just going to ever so slightly, not a lot, just make it a little bit sharper. And it's going to go out like we had it before. Like that. Okay. So now we can just clean this up a little bit. There. That. That wraps around like that. And then we're going to draw ovals in this section here. So when I'm starting to do circles or ovals, I'll hover over it. You can see my cursor there is going over it until I get the feel, right? Until we get a feel of what we want. Okay. So I think that looks a little better. So his hair, I'm not going to change much here, so I'll darken it back up a little bit. Curve it in. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, curve in, and then like that. Okay. His ears, they're going to curve. So we had placed triangles there before. Now we're going to curve those triangles a little bit. So follow the outside ear on here. Leave a gap. So same thing on the other side. Follow the ear, outside ear. So here, if you want to be particular, it's kind of an S, right? Same thing on this side. We've got his hair, his other bulge of hair. Not sure what they're called. Come out and back in. This side we can see the tuft. So I'm going to pull it out a little bit more here. See where it ends. And they're going to join close to the same spot. This one we don't see the tuft, they just kind of meet like that. We can have it curve in a little bit more. Erase that, right? New line. And then the top, it's flowing back, curving down. Okay. So there you go. So what's left? Well, we're going to have to do his chest, and we're going to have to clean up some areas. We want to add in some fingers over here. So we've already got the thumb. We've got the inside of this finger. Add the line. It's 1, 2, and you're going to do them narrower near the knuckle, and wider at the outside of the knuckle. So basically what I'm saying is here it's going to be thicker, thinner, thinner. Okay, so this kind of thing. Okay, so when we go back in here, what we're going to want to do is just add a little bit of definition to those knuckles. Okay, so at this point you can lighten it up a little bit. So we'll go back to the eraser. Okay, I'm going to lighten up some areas. Sorry. Bella doesn't like it. Okay. So you've taken your eraser, you've lightened it up just a little bit. You're going to go back to your pencil. And darken out those areas that you do like. So if you don't want to lighten it, don't lighten it. But go in and around the areas that you do like. So let's clean this up. So we're going to do and some of the lines you're not going to trace exactly the line. Some of the lines that you don't like, you're not going to trace, and the ones that you do are the ones that you're going to trace. So So you'll notice I'm not tracing everything, and I'm darkening up some areas while keeping some areas light. Okay. So like the underneath of his eyelid here, I'm going to try to keep it nice and light. Okay, hit the inside of his eye here, and then the pupil. Okay, so inside the eye here, you can keep nice and light, and then the pupil. Other side. He's almost wearing highliner. So it is dark on these sides here. And as you go, if you have a small enough eraser, notice I'm also trying to not use the undo tool at all on here because I want to do it as if it was paper for you guys. So as we're doing this, we can just add little tufts of fur. Right, because Sonic isn't just lines. So a lot of these lines I'm just tracing exactly where they are because I like them. You don't have to be fixing everything. The ones I don't like, I'm leaving. I'm going to carry a smile just a little bit over here. Okay. So his shoulder I like. I'm going to leave. This isn't 100% accurate, but I like this. I'm going to leave. Like that. There we go. Pull his arm more, like I want it thicker. Like that. Here I'm going to pull it in a little bit. I really want to show that he's puffing it out, so his hips aren't as wide, and I really want to pull that in. So this line, I ignored it, erased it a little bit there. His chest is puffed out. So I'm trying not to turn my paper. I usually turn my paper quite a bit. Feel free to turn your paper. It's always easier to get a good edge when you're turning your paper to a certain angle. Drawing a circle on this side can be more difficult than drawing a circle on this side. Okay, so the gloves. Follow what they look like here. And they're essentially going to be 2. Okay. Like that. On this side, he's got more than 2. Probably even got more than 3, but I'm going to simplify this. His arm. I think it looks fine the way it is. So here is where the knuckles. Okay, so this one's going to pull out just a little bit and come in. Same thing for the next one. We're going to pull it out and come in a little bit, kind of like little triangles. Next one. And then the outside one here is just ever so small. Okay. Each finger is going to have a slightly different length. Let's pull it out. This one here. Okay. Picking up some of those. Okay, so once we start to get comfortable with some of these, this one, we should just be seeing a little bit of it, right? And then this one is the one that we're going to see most of. It turns in like this. Here's the inside. The finger. We got the thumb. Eraser. So I want this here to be cut off a little bit more like that. So I'm going to erase a little bit. Again, don't be afraid of using your eraser. You just want it to come out a little bit more. Erase, 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 erase. And it's going to go down and wrap. We'll wrap around like this. Down. The other one. Joints. Okay. So now you continue through the legs, which I think are fine. If anything, add some tufts of fur there on the knee. Same thing at the bottom of the legs, maybe. I'm going to follow the guideline through. There you go. His leg goes into the shoe, right? So we continue that in. Same thing on the other side. The front of the shoe, which is an arch. It's curved. The back of the shoe, or sock, or whatever this is supposed to be. Put a little arch there just to show that, right? Curve it in, and then back out. So here, out and in. This side goes in, that goes out, in, out, underneath, over the shoe on the sock side here, and then on this side, over the shoe, and then down. So I'm going to pull this one out just a little bit, give it some style, a little bit further down. Okay. Here, we're just going to follow the shoe. So the top of the shoe here, where we follow the guard line, I'm just going to curve it ever so slightly this way. The shoe is going this way. And at the bottom here, a shoe is going to be like this, right? So this is our foot, this is our shoe. Generally, a shoe has this swooping motion like this, and then underneath like this. So what that means is it's going to curve this way because it's facing a little bit that way, and then curve back in a little bit here, which we already have it doing, right? So just ever so slightly. Follow the curve of the shoe and then wrap it down. Follow the curve of the shoe and then wrap it down. Back side, soles, which in this case we can kind of just cheat and darken up a little bit. fake just the top of the toe there a little bit. To the heel. To the heel, sorry, to the toe. To the sole. Put a little curve to show the underside of the sole. Same thing on the other side. Continue the shoe a little bit. Ever so slight curve, barely noticeable. Up curve on the other side. Follow the shoe. Do like this. And then like this. Like this. And then like this, right? Here. You've got your strap over top. The strap goes over the shoe and then back down. Over the shoe and then back down into the heel. Add some detail there, the back of the shoe, the sole. Bottom of the sole, just round it off a little bit. Fake the toe here a little bit like we did on the other side. The top, the toe, and then hint at the underside of the sole. Okay. So now we have the chest left to do. So I'm gonna keep it light. We're doing an oval. Okay, until we find something that we like. Here, I like this line. And it needs to be a little bit narrower there. It's going to come out here. It's going to be flat a bit at the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to take my eraser tool and get rid of some of those lines, because one, we don't want this quite as dark. I'm going to take my eraser tool, try that again. Okay, so his arm here, I'm going to have it cut off a little bit. Doesn't need to go that high. And then with my eraser tool, sorry, I'm going to erase some of the lines that I don't like to leave the ones that I do. So I have a good guide as to what I like and what I don't like. So you don't have to do this, but it helps me to visualize what I want to do. Okay. So I think that's good. So here like this, and then I'm going to curve it ever so slightly in because he's puffing his chest. Like that. Okay, so this is hair. So if we want we're just going to lighten that up a little bit. And get rid of some of this circle stuff. I'll erase out of the center that we did at the beginning. Okay. Go back to our pencil and just slightly darken some of those lines, and we can keep this loose because it's hair, right? Okay, so that's good. This is a little dark, so let's just lighten that up a little bit. Okay. So we're pretty much done. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and thicken my outside lines and really darken them up, make them look nice and clean. Make them look nice and clean, nice and dark, really make them stand out when compared to some of the other lighter lines that we did on here. When we were trying to figure out our form. So his hand is going to be slightly in front. It's in front of his body, right? So we can make that darker. Now a lot of these inside lines, you don't need to come and darken them. We want to keep them light, or we're just doing the outside for the most part. Thickening them up. Some of them, as I notice, as I go through and I notice they need some darkening, I will on the inside. But in general, I'm keeping to the outside. The bottom of the sole, I'm not adding too much. I don't want to draw attention to it. So just darkening these lines, you can start to see how it takes shape. And it starts to really look like a finished drawing, even despite the fact that you might have a lot of dirtiness around, right? Like I said, a lot of that stuff you don't notice at the end. Your eyes will focus on what looks good, what looks right, what pops, right? So I use this one pencil all the same size for this. And I tried to do that because at home with pencil and paper you're probably doing the same, right? Unless you've purchased a whole bunch of different size LEDs. The difference is I'm pushing hard or pushing light on my pencil to either get a lighter line or slightly smaller line. So now that I've got the outside, I'm gonna add a little more detail to the face a little bit here. Clean it up. Really round out those edges that should be rounded out. Make the eyes prominent. Really darken around the edge of the eyes because he's got black there. Keep it light here. Curve it really in, have them join. Keep it light there. Nose. Underneath the eye, keep it light. And then come in and around here. So we're going to darken off a little bit underneath his chin, right? Make it pop because this is a cartoon. I'm not painting this. I'm not trying to make it into a photorealistic. So just follow your lines. There you go. So now we're going to take our eraser and very lightly, we're just going to get rid of some of the parts that really maybe stand out a little too much. Okay, so for example, in it, oops, undo. In and around his chest here, just gonna take my eraser, lighten it up without getting too close to my lines because I don't want to have to redo them again. Okay, I'm gonna lighten some of these areas up, and notice I'm not even really erasing them completely. I'm gonna keep them there. It's not a big deal. Just gonna lighten in and around those areas because they might be hard to get into with the size of your eraser. Around his chest here because I really want it to show. Okay, we can get rid of some of these lines. Some of these. Erase, erase, erase. Erase, erase. The outside. Right here, right here. A little bit on the ear there. A little bit on the ear there. Around the hand. Maybe the knuckles, get rid of that a little bit. In the hand here, it's a little bit sloppy. Okay, so the last thing, well, not the last thing, second last thing is we can add a little bit of dark. So if you haven't already done his pupils, you can darken them up even more. his nose just ever so slightly. Just hold your pencil lightly and just darken it. And you can go in and you can do that in certain areas. So we can do the inside of his ears. Like that. We'll just keep it like that for today. I think that looks good. I'm happy with that. Hope you guys are happy with what you did too. You're gonna add a signature. So go ahead. Add your signature. And there's your complete drawing. So to quickly recap, what did we do? We broke down Sonic. Okay, so Sonic was what? Sonic is a circle for the head. Very simple. That can be broken down right in half, right? With two big circles for his eyes that join in the middle. Circular nose. He's got an oval type body, which is about the same height as the head. And his legs are just a little bit longer than his body. So his legs are coming down, and we did those like tubes. So they're like tubes. They go straight down. Tubes. Shoes we can identify as triangles. So triangle for one shoe, triangle for the next. And then tubular again for the arms kind of thing. So they're tubular. So if you draw a straight line, thicken that line up, you know, it's a tube. And we did boxes, right? For the hands. Boxes for the hands. Boxes for the thumbs. Boxes for the thumbs. Okay? Then we just started adding details from when we went from there. So Sonic has his ears. He has his hair like this. So this is like really quick, but you can see just like that you know, we were able to get a Sonic representation. Obviously this isn't this, but there you go. I'm gonna get rid of that because it's right over the signature. Yeah, you know what? Doesn't matter. Let's just get rid of it. Erase it. And I'll just redo the signature. Do it down here. There you go. So thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe, but comment. Put it in the comments. Tell me you liked it. Upload your picture. Show it to me. I'd love to see what you did. I'll comment back. So please like, subscribe, comment, get back to me. Hopefully this helped you. As I get more comfortable, hopefully it'll get better and you guys will like it. That's it. So like and subscribe. Hope you like this video. Take care. Bye.